What's up, guys? Welcome back to another week. I'm Justus. This is my 350Z. We're putting a GK Tech angle kit on today. We're going to walk you by the steps, kind of how we do it. And without further ado, let's get into that intro and let's get this started. So as you can see, Z's already in the air. We got the angle kit right here. If you look inside, got a bunch of foam, always nice. A bunch of stickers, instructions, and then the actual hardware and pieces itself right here. We're gonna throw this on. Basically replaces, I believe, the tie rod, and I don't want you guys to quote me for that, but I believe that's how it goes. And to get to that, take the wheel off, get under here. As you can see, right there. Maybe let me come in from the back. Get a better look at it. Right there, yep, that's it. I'm gonna be placing that little guy. And in theory, that should give our car around 30 degrees more steering angle, and then also give our front a little bit of camber so when you're in a corner, you have a little bit more grip. Without further ado, I'm gonna get that front wheel off, get the proper tools to get the tie rod off or disconnected, and then I'll show you guys how to install the new angle kit. So once you get your wheel off, you're gonna have two bolts right here. These are 14s. I'm just using a small socket to get them off. And then you're gonna have to disconnect this bolt up here. Has a little pin in it. You're gonna have to bend that back, pull it out. And then you're gonna have to screw this off, remove that, take this off, and then basically the angle kit here, this might be, let's see, this is passenger side. This is passenger side, but basically it'll bolt up using those two brackets into those 14s. This will go where that other one is with the cotter pin, and then you'll attach the tie rod with that into the actual outer tie rod where we're putting it on. And that's the basics of it. If you struggle with certain bolts and stuff, the best use I can give you is, because since this is all suspension and it's probably high torque and or it's been abused, use some PB Blaster or something to get the bolts loose. These are pretty rusted. So for me, these came out. This bottom one came out all right, the top one's a little stuck, but that's what I would recommend. Now that we've got that tiny bracket, those two 14s out, what I'm gonna recommend you do is first loosen that on your tie rod, just so you can release the tension, and then you're gonna have to get this bolt out. And if you can see on that bolt, there's a cotter pin of sorts. It's gonna be a bit of a bitch depending on the condition of your vehicle and how many miles you got. Mine is pretty torn up, so it's gonna be a little bit of a struggle to pull that out. But once you pull that out, you can take this off and just drop that and put on our actual knuckle, or I guess tie rod replacement, whatever, the kit. And then from there, you're gonna have to take out the bottom bolt of your control arm, I believe, and then you'll pop it back in and get it all sorted. So we got the bitch pin out, as you can see right there. Next, we're gonna remove that bolt right there. Now, this may be the wrong socket, but my 21 is too big and my 20 is too small, so I got a 3/4 right here. Seems to be the right guy, not moving at all. This is what I'd recommend. If it is a different bolt, I apologize. This is what I found it to be, is a 3/4. I'm gonna try to use the impact gun and see if I can get it off there, because this bolt should be under pretty high torque, which would be kind of hard to get off by hand, unless you're just fucking strong as hell. So we're gonna get that off, remove it, drop it, and hopefully we can move on to the next step. So we got that bolt off, disconnected the cotter pins out. Next we're gonna disassemble this, put on one of the dust boots, and you can flip this right here from our Ackerman, I believe, if you'd like. I'm gonna leave it in stock form, see how it feels, and then we'll replace it or take it off and change it if we wanna reverse that. You also gotta add some thread locker to make sure these bolts don't back out. It's very important. One of the big issues with these is that these tend to back out. So take care of that. Get the dust boot cover on if you'd like to provide longevity to your tie rod or your angle kit. And we're gonna toss it on again, two 14s, the 19 on the bottom, which goes through here, and then we'll connect that to the outer tie rod. Alright, as you guys can see, we got the knuckle here. We disassembled by taking this bolt out. We put our dust cover on. We're leaving the Ackerman adjustments in the stock position, or I guess the standard position that they ship in. We got some red thread locker here. We're going to smother this end of the bolt, put it through, tighten it. There are torque specs on the GK Tech video if you'd like to check those out. However, I'm going to tighten these to as tight as I can get them. Not overly tight, but nice and snug. Because this is a steering component. I don't want it fucking up, and yes, torque specs are good, but sometimes torque specs aren't enough. Just happens. So we're gonna do that, get this on here. Should be nice and minty. Alright, so we've got most of it on. We added the smaller spacer for the offset rack spacer inside the boot. That is a bit of a pain to get the actual tie rod to come out of the steering rack, but you can do it. It's easy. I tried to film it. I couldn't get good clips of it. Basically, you take one of these guys and then another one, and you have to put it on the ball part that comes to this section right here. Inside, it's right here. And then you have to hold the actual rack with another one of these and twist opposite directions. It comes out. It's very hard initially, but then it kind of threads out pretty easily. Once you do that, you slide the small spacer in since this is driver's side, and then you put it back together with some thread locker, put the boot back over, put the clamps, call it a day. This is tightened down nice and straight. We did an eyeball alignment, as you can see. Hub looks decently straight with the fender. And then from there, we got our bottom bolt down here, nice and situated up in, let's see, right there. This guy is nice and tight. These two side 14s are good. And so far, looking nice and sturdy. Steering wheel is still straight. You want to make sure that you keep that as straight as you can while doing all this so that it doesn't drive like absolute crap before you get in alignment. But yeah, so far going well. We still have to do the other side, which we'll film. That is going to be a little different. We'll try to see if I can get the offset, the actual rack spacer in there. But this is the piece that is going to go on the passenger side. It's quite large compared to the other side, but yeah. There's also a tolerance that you guys want to measure from the rack spacer to the actual rack. It is 3.14 inches or 80 something millimeters. You want to make sure that's accurate, otherwise it'll be off and it won't drive very well. So look out for that. That's another thing. Overall though, not too bad. The cotter pins honestly were the hardest thing, and probably getting the actual tie rod out of the rack. That was probably the hardest. So far, 10 out of 10. Not a bad install. If you guys are doing this, following along, hope you're doing good. Takes a little bit, but you're doing great. All right guys, so we're 80% done. Both sides are done. As you can see, the angle already is super improved. And this side also looks pretty sweet. Looks pretty deep. As you can see, definitely more aggressive. Also, Jack and Kofi are here from Indiana. Boys, say hello. This is cute. Nate's over there, vibing. Boys over here. And then we got Mason right here.
This shit was a bitch.
It was an absolute bitch. The rack spacers were definitely the hardest part, but I think it paid off. It looks very good. Now we just need to put it on the ground and bring it back up and then lower it.
Thanks.
Alright guys, and with that, the video is over. I hope this helped you with your install. It was super easy. You heard Mason and I complain about the rack spacer in the final part of the video. That was definitely the hardest part of it. But once you're in there, it's not too bad. You can definitely do it. Bit of arm strength, but you'll get it. Finally, the angle is totally acceptable. I am going to be replacing my brake lines. However, they don't bind, but they definitely get tight at full lock. And then I am going to shave the bump stops just a tiny bit for a little bit more angle. But those are the only two things that I think I would do in addition to this. Besides that, you can totally bolt this on and you can totally go out and slide it. Definitely get an alignment though. I'm getting my alignment soon. Thankfully I work at a place where I can just bring it in and get it done there. So without further ado, let's let the outro roll. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. There's a bunch of other cool videos. You guys are awesome. Appreciate every single one of you. See you guys next week.